Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com. Wait a minute, do I look more like a guitar player now? Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And 2 years ago when I started the channel, I did a video on musicians and depression because as someone who's battled depression most of my life, I thought it was an important topic and I wanted to share my story and how music went from a source of depression to a source of joy for me personally. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and watch that one on this channel. And then the following year, I came up with some strategies to kind of help with depression. Like there's a lot of things we do as musicians, comparing ourselves to others and setting unrealistic goals and all kinds of stuff. That was last year's video. This year's video is going to be about GA.S, Gear Acquisition Syndrome. So a lot of us have kind of this like you can kind of see, we like gear, we like to buy gear, and buying gear can be fun. And we joke about it. Okay, so I have 20 guitars. Well, is that a lot? It depends who you ask. I mean, John Mayer probably has 500 or 600. You know, I know people who have one. How many guitars do you need? Well, the joke is just one more than you have, right? But gas can also be a problem.
Jeez.
So this always wanting the next pedal, always wanting another guitar or another amp or something slightly different than what you have, always chasing the tone, the magic tone. Never being satisfied with your guitar tone. I did that for years. And I mean, I went through a whole bunch of different amps and finally I ended up with an HX Stomp and I learned that I could tweak the HX Stomp to get pretty much whatever sound I wanted. And I stopped. And I haven't really bought any pedals or amps since then. I've bought guitars. I bought a new guitar a month or two ago. I got a thin line acoustic. Yamaha, I forget what it's called because guitars have like stupid model, APX 600 or some such thing. I'm not going to tell you in this video, don't buy gear because that's ridiculous. I love to buy gear. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of the gear that I buy. I really do. I think that the reason that I don't really feel guilty about my gear acquisition is because I've set up some rules for myself. And so in this video, I'm going to give you 10 tips for dealing with gas. And if you're sad or depressed about not having the equipment you want, or maybe the amount of money you've spent on equipment, I'm hoping that this list will help you. So let's get started. Tip number 1, I don't buy stuff on credit. I save up my money. And then when I've got the money that I've accumulated and it's enough to buy what I want, then I buy it. You can go into debt with this stuff and debt can make you feel really, really guilty. Well, if you don't have any debt, then that's a whole source of guilt and depression that doesn't even exist. If you can get yourself into the habit of just saving up money, and then when you reach your goal, then you buy the thing. You feel really good when you make the purchase because you save for something and then you achieve something instead of just putting it on plastic and then feeling guilty. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, I don't actually have a set amount. Now, I used to have a set amount for guitars, which was $500. If a guitar cost more than $500, I didn't buy it. And for the most part, out of my 20 guitars, I think that there's maybe 2 or 3 that cost more than $500, and all the rest were $500 or less. So that actually did work for me. But these days, I don't really have a set amount because I'm saving up the money. And so my most expensive purchase in the past several years was this Yamaha keyboard, the MX88, which was, I want to say, was about $1,200. And I saved for it for a really long time. And then I bought it. The least expensive thing I bought was, I don't know if you can see it. This guy right here, this is a 2009 MacBook. And it had an internal 128 gig hard drive. And I replaced it with a 240 gig SSD drive for $16. That's probably the cheapest purchase I've made. So the second tip is like, I don't necessarily worry so much about how much or how little something costs because I don't have to worry about it because I save up the money. So however much money I save up or whatever my goal is, I just save for longer. Tip number 3, the wish list. I keep a wish list on Amazon, and I've got stuff on there for $1,000, and I've got stuff on there for like $20. And it's just sort of a reminder to me, like looking around at like, okay, what do I need? What's available? What am I considering? And I can kind of look at it because there's a little bit of mental anguish that I will go through when I have money trying to decide how to spend it. What I do now is if I'm interested in something, let's say an external hard drive for storage, I'll do a bunch of research. I'll figure out what the best options are. I'll put them in my wish list. Doesn't mean I'm buying it. It just means that when I have some money come my way and I think I should get a drive, boom, I've already decided what to get. It's fun to do the process of building the wish list. And it's also good to look at the list and say, okay, these are the things I'm considering. Now, what on here do I really need? So a wish list is a good strategy.
What the? Hey, Ricky, you forgot to do number 4. Ah, jeez. Just do it, and then I'll edit it in. Yeah.
Tony, I don't even have a microphone set up or not. Okay, fine. Hang on a second. Okay, sorry about that. Tip 4. Oh, by the way, I've rearranged the studio, but that's for a future video. Anyway, tip 4. I set aside a little bit of money each week, not counting any other money that I make. And also, like, if there's money from birthdays, Christmas, that kind of stuff, then that gets contributed to the whole total. I mean, just because you're an adult doesn't mean you don't deserve an allowance. I'm telling you. Okay, now back to your regularly scheduled number 5. That's next. Okay, Tony, splice this part back in.
Okay, got it. I'll splice it in. Nobody will ever know the difference.
5. Small things like guitar strings and stuff like that that's like under $10 or maybe even under $20. I don't use the money I save up for that on that. I just use my debit card. And my wife is totally cool with me spending less than $10 on a set of guitar strings. She could care less. 6. When I am looking to buy something, 9 times out of 10, I'm buying on Amazon. Now, this is not necessarily like something everybody should do, but in my case, I've got 2 websites and I've got 2 YouTube channels. So budgetguitarist.com has been around for, at this point, 8 years, maybe 9, 10, I don't even know. Budgetguitarist.com makes money because I've got Google ads on it. And so it brings in some money each month. Budgetguitarist.com, the YouTube channel, brings in money through ads, like YouTube ads. And both of them, the YouTube channel and the guitar website, bring in money with Amazon affiliated links. This is what I use to fund my hobby. That's where the money comes from. Also, if I do a gig, then that money kind of goes into the pot. But the thing about using Amazon is if you do Amazon affiliated links, which by the way is like a pretty cool deal, they'll either send you a check, but they take out like 10 or 15% processing, or they direct deposit it into your Amazon account and they don't take out anything. And so that makes it very compelling to just kind of say, okay, well, let me leave that money in Amazon. I would really prefer to buy from a local mom and pop shop, but there's only one and they don't sell the stuff that I need. I'll go there for guitar strings. I'll go there for a guitar strap. If I can buy local, I will from the mom and pop shop. By the way, it's called Music Matters. Cool place, cool little place. Really nice people who own it and run it. Make most of their money on lessons. I support them as much as I can. But the nearest Guitar Center is half an hour away. And quite frankly, among all the music stores in Tampa, Clearwater, I like Replay in Tampa. And I like the Sam Ash in Clearwater. Those are kind of my 2 favorite stores. So is this a tip? Well, if you're like a big time, like if you have Amazon Prime, if you already have a wish list in Amazon, it kind of helps you keep things organized. Now, how is that going to help with depression? It's a very small piece to the puzzle, but it is a puzzle piece. And I think the point around all of this is just having an overall strategy, but we'll talk about that more at the end. 7, my top priority when making any kind of gear purchase is it has to do something that I can't currently do. It's got to add on a new capability. Now, am I always doing this 100% of the time? No. But 90% of the time, absolutely. For example, the Yamaha Thinline acoustic that I recently bought. What does that do for me? I already have an acoustic guitar. Well, as I explained in that video, I have a right shoulder injury. My big Larrivee DO3, to get my shoulder around it, it's really painful. It's really hard. So the thin line Yamaha gives me the ability to play acoustic guitar again. Right? And that's pretty good. I bought this keyboard because it could do stuff that I couldn't do before. I really prioritize stuff that's going to help me achieve one of my musical goals. So whether that's playing out or whether that is recording. Strategy 8, I don't buy anything I don't need. It's got to have a purpose, and it's got to be something that I will use. I don't really buy stuff for like, oh, I'm going to buy this and then maybe someday I'll use it. And I know in the case of guitar pedals especially, I know a lot of guitar players who have big pedal collections. They've got pedals that they've never even tried. They love the process of like buying the gear. But I mean, I'm going to tell you, if you're buying gear that you're not using on a credit card and the credit card's racking up debt, that's like a depression bomb waiting to happen. And it's really better to avoid that kind of stuff if you can. You know, again, my situation is not yours. But I'm just saying these are strategies that have worked for me. Number 9, and I think this is a really good one. If I'm buying something to replace what I have already, it can't be a little bit better. It can't be slightly better. It's got to be a lot better. Like I recorded my first 5 albums with this guy right here. And this is the Focusrite 2i2. And it's a darn good piece of gear. It sounds really good. It works really well. When I bought the Apollo Solo sounds better than the Focusrite, but not by a massive amount, in my opinion. It sounds better. That's not the point with the Solo. To me, the point was it comes with $1,000 worth of state-of-the-art plugins that can run on the box itself. And more importantly, when I'm recording vocals and I got the headphones on, I can have a really good compressor and a really good reverb in the headphones when I'm singing, but I can record it. The signal itself will be bone dry. If you're into audio recording, you'll understand why that's a big idea. Now, could I do that with the Focusrite? No, I can't. The Apollo Solo, in that sense, is a lot better than the Focusrite. When I buy something to replace something I already have, it can't just be a little bit better. You know, a little marginal gain. It's got to be quite a bit better. And then finally, last but not least, 10. Whenever I buy anything, even if it's a $15 cable, I do extensive, exhaustive research. To me, personally, that's the fun part. I will watch a ton of YouTube videos. I will read a bunch of websites, web pages, you know. I'll get all kinds of different opinions, and then I'll figure out what I want to buy, and then I'll buy it. I really like to do all the research. I really like to know that, at least in my mind, I am making the best possible decision. I'm not impulsive about like a purchase. And I really enjoy it. If you don't enjoy like the thrill of the hunt, so to speak, then that's not going to be a good strategy for you. Okay, so I just gave you 10 strategies for dealing with gas. So the whole point of this, it's not necessarily that you should follow my 10 rules, right? You kind of make up your own. Mine are just what works for me. But the point is that you have a scheme, you have a system, and you have a system that's not based on running up a bunch of debt for stuff you may not actually need, like impulse buys and just like your 7th stereo chorus. If you've got a system and a set of rules that work for you, that makes sense, and you're saving up your money, there's so much less guilt on the whole deal. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel. And I will see you again some future Friday at 5.